Hi, my name's Cheese, and welcome to another Fossil Sweeper Progress Update video. If you haven't heard of the project before, you can find an overview here, but the TLDR is, it's like Minesweeper, but you're digging up fossils, and you get to build skeletons out of the stuff that you find. Over the past month or so, I've added avatar behavior to the research phase, I've done some testing ahead of upgrading to Godot 3.6, and I've implemented some changes inspired by work I did in a recent game jam. Similar to work I'd done in the preceding month, I added some point of interest waypoints for the player's avatar to visit, but rather than moving randomly from point to point after an idle period as they do in the map phase, each position is attached to one of the research categories, with the avatar moving to whichever one is currently selected. With a large table in the middle of the room and needing to define positions in different areas for each of the current 8 research categories, I wasn't able to sneakily pick spots that would allow the avatar to walk between them all without passing through the room geometry. Eventually I'll need to come up with some obstacle avoidance stuff for the museum phase anyway, so I think I'll just ignore that for now. With the avatar now wandering around, having the camera pan to follow them as they walk to and fro gave nice results. Even better was to have the camera pan to where the avatar will be and let them catch up in their own time, so that's what's happening at the moment. Alongside this, I also fixed a possible issue with avatar pathing that I think was responsible for cases where the avatar could end up spinning on the spot when the game was running slowly. I also updated forward movement to be slower when the avatar is facing away from their destination, reducing turn radius in a way that should help with that sort of thing as well. In the last video, I mentioned making a little space game called Keyhole for a game jam. It came out a little rougher than I'd hoped, and the narrative stuff that was my main motivation for starting the project to begin with is missing, look for that in a future version, but I did explore some things that I had been considering doing in Fossil Sweeper. I upgraded to Godot 3.6 in order to get access to the OS class's keyboard get scan code from physical function, and updated binder by input binding generator config management library to use physical scan codes instead of regular scan codes. The idea is that physical scan codes are a way of referencing where keys are on a US QWERTY keyboard layout, so that whatever key is in that position can be used in other layouts. For example, WASD in a AZERTY layout becomes ZQSD, or AOE in a Dvorak layout, and so on. Binder's behavior itself was fine without using physical scan codes, but without them I wasn't able to set appropriate defaults. I did some testing on a second keyboard that I'd assigned a different layout to via setxkb map. While that wasn't a substitute for a system where a non-QWERTY layout is default, it was handy for some quick checks, and also gave me some unexpected excitement when I accidentally set all attached keyboards to Dvorak for a few minutes. I find the physical scan codes nomenclature a little unintuitive and had a couple of false starts on implementation, but thanks to some testing and feedback from fellow game developer Tim Creef and Godot and Escoria contributor Stratton, I was able to get there in the end. Godot 3.6 brought in engine-level text-to-speech support, which I've been looking forward to switching to since the text-to-speech plugin I'm currently using for blind-friendly gameplay isn't currently maintained. Godot's text-to-speech API is pretty much identical to the plugin I'm using at the moment, so updating Fossil Sweeper to use it for testing was pretty trivial. Unfortunately, at the time of writing, there's a bug where a threading deadlock can happen after a non-interrupting utterance is queued while another utterance is being spoken. This has been fixed in Godot 4 by longtime Godot contributor Bravsk, who also contributed the initial TTS implementation and had previously made a text-to-speech GD native module for Godot as well. I've submitted a pull request with a backport of that fix to the 3.x branch that I'm hoping will be merged in prior to the release of Godot 3.6.2. This will likely be the deciding factor on whether or not I upgrade to 3.6 or stay on 3.4, and for now, I'm planning on holding off on shipping new test builds until I know one way or the other. While testing 3.6, I hit a couple of minor issues that I'm hoping to find time to create repro cases for to go with bug reports, or at least document somewhere. One is the ordering of imported nodes in my DAE scenes has changed slightly, messing up my avatar waypoints, and depth of field in viewports behaves unexpectedly, with things closer than the far blur threshold being blurred unexpectedly in the assembly phase. Unlike the text-to-speech threading issue, everything I've encountered so far has been trivial to work around in Fossil Sweeper's codebase, so at this stage I don't have any other blockers preventing me from upgrading. Small update during editing, I have found another complication that has affected one of my other games while upgrading it to 3.6, but I'll touch on that more in the next video. There are a couple of other things around UI scaling that I used Keyhole as a testbed for, but I haven't gotten around to implementing those yet. More on that in a future video. A very big thank you to the supporters going by on screen at the moment. Their supporters help me eat while making this game, and I am so very appreciative. A huge thanks also to Screen Tasmania, who supported this project with a small grant. Anyway, that's about it for today. If you'd like to keep track of development or try the playable prototype, you can find some links in the description. And if you're super keen to check out what we talked about here today, I make early test builds available to my supporters on Patreon. Thank you for watching, and goodbye!